My name's Dr Perran Ross, and I'm a researcher at the University of Melbourne. I'm working on new ways to control insect pests, especially mosquitoes. One of my roles is to feed the mosquito colonies that we maintain, and that involves putting my arm inside a cage and letting them suck my blood for about 10 minutes. About 500 mosquitoes, half of those are females, and they're the ones that bite. And they take a few minutes to feed. They drink about 2 to 3 times their whole body weight in blood. Oh, they're thirsty. They're very thirsty. At the moment, I can't really feel very much except for a little bit of a sting in some parts of my arm. But over time, it gets quite itchy. Feeding mosquitoes is really the most relaxing part of my day. It's a chance for me to sit down, think about life, just let them do their thing. Each one is only taking about a few microliters of blood, and it takes about 1 million mosquitoes to actually drain your blood completely. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I've lost about 10 liters of blood over that time. So my work is really about trying to find new ways to control insects using sustainable methods. And so that can involve using bacteria, which block the transmission of pathogens by mosquitoes. It can be about using bacteria to reduce mosquito populations. And it's also about understanding how mosquitoes will respond to climate change. This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, and it's found in tropical northern Queensland. And this mosquito is really widespread in the tropics around the world, and it's incredibly dangerous because they spread many, many very important diseases like dengue, Zika, chikungunya, and many other pathogens. But in the lab, they're completely safe because the mosquitoes don't have any disease. I grew up on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. There wasn't always an appreciation for science when I was in school. When I did my bachelor's degree, I ended up working with mosquitoes on this project to try to solve dengue fever. And I thought, well, this is really fascinating. I can actually have an impact on people's lives. When a mosquito bites you, they inject saliva into you, and that causes an immune response, which results in a bite. And it looks a little bit like this. You see little raised, itchy bumps on your skin. The underside of my arm is covered in bites, but if I flip it around the other way, this part doesn't have as many, but they still do prefer the parts of the skin which aren't covered in hair. They like the soft, fleshy parts of your arm. There's many complex factors that affect mosquito preferences, and that can include things like your age, whether you've been drinking, if you're pregnant, your levels of activity, the clothes you wear, but most importantly, it's your genetics. After working with mosquitoes for so long, you get very good at being able to do mosquito impressions yourself. So here's my best one. It goes... I'm looking at some mosquito larvae. They're about 4 days old, and in a couple of days, they're going to turn into pupae. So mosquito larvae are photophobic, and that means that when you shine a light on them, they'll swim away from that light. It's a predator response. When they see a shadow moving across the water, they know to dive back down. So I've been making stop-motion animation films for quite a long time now, since I was a child, and it was really just a hobby, a very time-consuming hobby. But when I became a scientist, I thought, wow, this is something I can use to get people interested in my research and in insects more generally. One of the films I've made, it depicts the life cycle of a mosquito, and it's quite a complicated cycle. It involves many different life stages in different environments. Making these films has really been a good outlet for me. I guess they show my passion for science and science engagement. As a scientist, you don't always have opportunities to be creative, and so this is one way that I can do it. Climate change is going to lead to a lot of diseases coming to new parts of the world, and a lot of mosquitoes invading new parts of the world as well. So it's really just going to change where mosquitoes are and the diseases they spread. So there are over 300 mosquito species in Australia and over 3,000 in the world. In Australia, we've got the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which spreads dengue. We have a few native species which spread a few other pathogens like the Buruli ulcer and Ross River virus. But many other mosquitoes aren't a problem for us at all. There's a particular mosquito called the elephant mosquito, which is found in the tropics in Queensland. And this mosquito is actually good for us because it eats the mosquitoes that spread disease. So its larvae are predatory. And this mosquito also doesn't bite people. There's nothing bad about it at all. And there's many other mosquitoes which could actually be quite good in the ecosystem. Many people think of bees and wasps and beetles and other insects as important pollinators, but mosquitoes do also pollinate as well because they feed on nectar. I often come to the gardens of Melbourne University. It's a really great place to look for mosquitoes. There are so many different plants around that can hold water. Mosquitoes will lay their eggs in stagnant water. So you can see this bromeliad here has got some wrigglers in there. So these are actually mosquito larvae. And bromeliads are a fantastic place for mosquitoes to breed because they've got a nice sheltered environment that's got plenty of food and very little competition. So ponds are another hotspot for mosquitoes. There's thousands and thousands of mosquito larvae in this pond, and it's particularly a problem if the water's stagnant. All it takes for a mosquito to reproduce is a small amount of water. Even the amount of water in a thimble, mosquitoes can complete their development. There's one particular species of mosquito that lives in our gardens called Aedes notoscriptus. And this is one that we really don't want in our gardens because it spreads Ross River virus, Buruli ulcer, several other pathogens. In your garden, you need to make sure that any sources of stagnant water are tipped out regularly, at least once per week. My advice to gardeners would be, when you're out in the garden, you should be wearing long, loose-fitting clothing and covering up any areas of exposed skin with repellents containing DEET. Mosquito coils, if you're outside, they don't really function that well. Citronella candles, mosquito bands, a lot of things like that just won't really protect you against mosquito bites. I love working in the lab. I'm really proud of what we've achieved so far as a team. There's still so much that we don't know about mosquitoes, but I think there's a lot of potential to make a difference in people's lives with our research.